28 years in psychiatric medicine. I believe in diagnostic criteria and pharmacological intervention. I believe that the mind is an organ, subject to the same mechanical failures as a kidney or a liver, and that most of what people call mysterious is just pathology we haven't cataloged yet. I believed that when I started my residency in 1988, and I believed it the day I retired in 2024. I am telling you this because I need you to understand that what I'm about to describe did not change my mind. It just made the believing harder. My name doesn't matter. The licensing board knows who I am. My malpractice carrier knows who I am. My ex-wife's attorney knows who I am. For this recording, I'm Dr. R. Forensic Psychiatry, county system mostly, competency evaluations, civil commitments, the occasional sanity opinion for a public defender who'd already decided to plea anyway. 28 years of sitting across from people in small rooms and asking them what day it was. By 2016, I'd been doing court-ordered evaluations for nearly 2 decades. That March, the county mental health court was in the middle of a restructuring that nobody asked for and nobody wanted. The state cut funding. The chief judge retired. 2 evaluators left for private practice, which meant their caseloads rolled downhill, and downhill was me. I went from 7 active cases to 14 in 6 weeks. They gave me a borrowed office, Dr. Paulson's, a psychologist on maternity leave, because my office was being used for overflow arraignment prep. I remember the borrowed office. I remember it clearly. Someone else's diplomas on the wall. A photo of someone else's 2 children on the desk, tucked into a frame with a seashell border. A succulent on the windowsill that I'd been watering for 3 months because it seemed wrong to let it die in someone else's absence. The fluorescent light had a flicker in the left tube. I put in a maintenance request in January. By March, the flicker was still there, just part of the room now, like the hum of the HVAC. That's where I was when Helen Marsh's file landed on my desk. Competency evaluation. Court referred. The charges were simple, trespassing. The arrest report was not. Bridgewater General Hospital, March 14, 2016. A woman was observed standing motionless in the main lobby at approximately 7:15 a.m. She did not sit. She did not approach any desk, kiosk, or department entrance. She stood near the east wall facing the main corridor, hands at her sides. Hospital staff approached her at 8:30, then again at 10, then at noon. She did not respond to verbal prompts. She did not appear distressed. She did not appear confused. She appeared, according to the security report, to be waiting. At 4:22 p.m., 9 hours and 7 minutes after she was first observed, a security officer placed a hand on her arm to guide her toward the exit. She turned to him and spoke one sentence. "I'm waiting for Dr. R." No one at Bridgewater General knew a Dr. R. The hospital's psychiatric department had a Dr. Reyes and a Dr. Ramos, neither of whom had any record of Helen Marsh as a patient. I work at the courthouse, 3 miles away. I had never heard her name. I noted it in the file margin. PT reference Dr. R. Coincidence, common initial, and moved on. I had 13 other cases. I had a succulent to water. I had a fluorescent light that wouldn't stop flickering. The evaluation was scheduled for March 29th. Interview room A, bolted down table, 2 chairs, one-way observation mirror that hadn't been used for observation since 2009. The room behind it was full of banker's boxes, old case files mostly, exposed pipe along the ceiling. The chair on the evaluator's side had a wobble in the left front leg that I'd compensated for so many times it had become automatic, a micro shift of weight that happened without thinking. I walked in at 9:04 a.m., 4 minutes late. I'm never 4 minutes late. There'd been a call from the clerk's office about a rescheduled hearing, and I'd taken it standing in the hallway outside the room, looking at my watch, knowing the call could have waited. She was already seated, hands flat on the table, posture upright, symmetrical, hair pulled back. She was 54, according to the intake sheet. She looked like a person who had been waiting a very long time and did not mind. I sat down. I opened my folder. I clicked my pen. She spoke first. "You're 4 minutes late. That's unusual for you." I looked at her. I clicked the pen again. I wrote nothing. I started the way I always start. Orient the patient. Confirm they understand the process. "Ms. Marsh, I've been appointed by the court to conduct a competency evaluation. Do you understand why you're here today?" Trespassing, Bridgewater General, March 14th. "I understand the charges, the role of the evaluator, and the standard for adjudicative competency under Dusky, a rational understanding of the proceedings and the ability to assist counsel." I wrote that down, verbatim. She'd cited Dusky by name. Former medical transcriptionist, she'd have clinical vocabulary. That didn't explain the legal framework, but I kept going. "Can you tell me today's date?" "March 29, 2016, Tuesday." "Correct." "And where are we right now?" "Interview room A, Bridgewater County Courthouse, 2nd floor. The observation room behind the mirror hasn't been used since 2009. It's full of boxes." She paused. "Your chair wobbles, left front leg." I stopped writing. I looked at the chair. I looked at her. She hadn't moved. Hands flat on the table, fingers slightly spread, pressing something down. She said, "Question 4 on your checklist is about the roles of courtroom personnel. You always ask that 1/3, not 4th, but you renumbered your form in 2014 after the state template changed. You preferred the old order." I closed the folder. I sat there for what felt like a long time. It was probably 8 seconds. In a clinical interview, 8 seconds of silence is noticeable. In a competency evaluation, it's the evaluator who's supposed to be in control of the pacing. I was not in control of the pacing. I deviated. Skipped to question 14, understanding of potential penalties. No logical reason she'd anticipate that jump. She answered question 14 before I opened my mouth. "Maximum penalty for criminal trespass in Massachusetts is 30 days and a $100 fine. Misdemeanor." You're wondering why the court ordered a competency evaluation for a misdemeanor. So am I. I put the checklist down, set my pen on the table, leaned back in the wobbling chair. Her affect was flat, not blunted. Flat. There's a clinical difference. Blunted is reduced emotional range. Flat is the absence of it. Her voice had no inflection. Her face moved just enough to form words. Her eyes were fixed on mine. She had not blinked. I'd noticed at minute 12. Once I noticed, I couldn't stop. I tracked it against the wall clock. We were past 20. "Ms. Marsh, I'm going to ask you something not on the form. Your middle name is Thomas." I did not confirm or deny this. "My middle name is Thomas. It's on my medical license, a public record. It's not on my court appointment letter, my business card, or the nameplate on the borrowed office door." "Who told you my middle name?" "Nobody told me." "Then how do you know it?" She didn't answer. She said something else. "Marcus Telford." My pen was on the table. I didn't pick it up. My hands were in my lap. I could feel my pulse in my wrists. Marcus Telford was my patient in 1993. First year as an attending. 23 years old, admitted on an involuntary hold after a suicide attempt. I evaluated him, assessed the risk, documented the plan. 15-minute checks. On his 4th night during a shift change, a 12-minute gap, he hanged himself with a bedsheet. I found him. I cut him down. He was already cold. That name is not in any file Helen Marsh could access. Not in the court record. Not in my CV. It lives in my head and in a closed incident report from 1993 in a state archive. "You did everything right." I almost laughed. I think I did. One of those sounds that comes out when something breaks loose. Because that's what the note says. The index card in my desk drawer. My supervisor, Dr. Abramson, wrote it and slipped it under my door the day after Marcus died. 5 words on a white index card, blue ink, block letters. I've kept it for 23 years. Never shown it to anyone. Never told anyone what it says. It sits under a paperclip tray in the top right drawer of a desk currently in storage because I'm using someone else's office. How do you know about that card? She looked at me, looked through me, with eyes that had not blinked in over 30 minutes. Check page 3 of your notes. The session ran 47 minutes. She did not blink once. I ended the session at 9:51 a.m., pressed the call button for the court officer. She stood when he arrived, walked out without looking back. I sat in interview room A alone, the fluorescent flicker, the wobbling chair, the one-way mirror reflecting someone who looked older than I remembered. I looked at my notes. Pages 1 and 2 were mine. The cramped abbreviations, the arrows connecting observations. T-oriented X4. Effect flat, not blunted. Eye contact fixed, unbroken. In the margin at minute 12, no blink. Confirm at minute 20, still no blink. At minute 31, smaller. What is happening? That was my pen, my shorthand, my slow unraveling documented in real time, normal. Page 3 was not normal. Page 3 was a full paragraph, neat, composed, clinical formatting, the kind I use for final reports, not session notes. My handwriting, my pen, same blue ink, same pressure, same slight rightward lean on the descenders. But the content. The paragraph described the session I had just conducted, not a summary, a narrative. Helen Marsh's posture, her flat affect, the dusky citation the moment she said my middle name. It described my reaction to Marcus Telford. The evaluator's pen remained on the table, pulse visible at the left wrist, 8-second silence. It described the blink count, the index card. Her final instruction, check page 3. The date at the top of page 3, February 12, 2016. The evaluation was March 29th. I was reading notes about today's session, written in my handwriting, 6 weeks before it occurred, 6 weeks before Helen Marsh was arrested. I turned the page carefully. The way you handle evidence you know is going to matter. Page 4 was blank, almost. At the bottom margin, in very small writing, my pen, the letters cramped the way they get when I'm writing in a space too small. 7 words. Thursday's dream will be different tonight. I need to explain the dream. Every Thursday night since 1998, the same dream. I'm sitting in a session, and the patient across from me is me. Same clothes I wore that day, same pen. The other me conducts a mental status exam. Orientation, affect, thought process, cognition, insight, judgment, and scores me. 42, every Thursday, 42. Serious symptoms, major impairment. I know what a 42 means. I know what it means that my subconscious has scored me a 42 every week for 18 years. My waking gaffe is fine. I function. But on Thursday nights, some version of me knows something I don't. I drove home that night. I sat in my study. I poured a drink and did not finish it. I did not sleep. I sat in the chair where I'm sitting right now, looking at the recorder, waiting for Thursday. Thursday came. The dream was different. In the dream, I was in interview room A, the wobbling chair, the flicker. But the patient across from me, the other me, did not conduct an MSE, did not ask questions, did not score anything. The other me just sat there, hands flat on the table, fingers slightly spread, eyes fixed on mine, not blinking. And the other me said, "You're 4 minutes late." That was 8 years ago. I retired 2 years later, not because of Helen Marsh. I had 6 more years of evaluations after that, hundreds of patients, competency hearings and civil commitments and sanity opinions and all the rest. I retired because of what started after. Every Thursday since that night, the dream has been different. The other me never asks questions anymore. The other me just sits there not blinking and says one sentence, a different sentence each week. And each sentence is something that happens to me the following day. I don't write them down. I tried once. I opened my notebook on a Friday morning to record what the other me had said. The sentence was already there, in my handwriting, dated 6 weeks earlier. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. The recorder will run out of tape soon. It's a 40-minute tape and I just checked. I've been talking for an hour and 12 minutes. The tape should have ended 32 minutes ago, but the counter is still moving. The red light is still on. The tape is still running. I don't know how long a 40-minute tape can run. I don't want to